About a month ago, TechAmerica Foundation released our annual report, Cyber Cities 2010. And this report looks at jobs and employment wage trends across the country by metropolitan area. We look at the top 60 cities as defined by number of tech jobs. Some of the high-level findings, not surprisingly, we found that 53 of the 60 cities that we looked at actually lost tech jobs in 2009. That's 2009 over 2008. This is, by the way, data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. We at TechAmerica Foundation have had a definition of the high-tech industry that we've been using for 13 years now. It includes high-tech manufacturing, software services, internet and telecom companies, and R&D and testing labs and engineering services. So again, 53 of the 60 cities actually lost jobs. Just to give a little bit of historical perspective, the tech industry was actually, as we saw from our previous reports, the last major industry to enter the recession or the global economic downturn. And we've actually seen that in some sectors, including software services, the tech industry has started to add jobs again. So that's the good news. But again, this is from 2009 data, which is the most recent we could find from Bureau of Labor Statistics. The leading cyber cities, again, New York is just in terms of total tech jobs. New York leads the way, followed by Washington, D.C., and that's the entire Washington, D.C. metro area, followed by Silicon Valley, Boston, and Dallas-Fort Worth. As far as, some bright spots, Oklahoma City was one of the 7 cities that added jobs, again, largely led by software services jobs. We also look at what we call tech concentration, which is the proportion of the private sector that's employed by technology companies. And in that category, by far, Silicon Valley leads the way, where nearly a third of all private sector jobs in Silicon Valley are in the tech industry. We also look at wage differential, which is basically the tech industry on average pays about 89% higher than the average private sector wage. And here we see some of the cities, Colorado Springs, Austin, and San Diego, which have the highest differential, where the average tech wage is more than double the average private sector wage. Next slide. And here, just visually represented, are the top 5 cities again: New York, Washington, D.C., Silicon Valley, Boston, and Dallas. And then here's the top 10 again. If you look at the top 10, it hasn't changed between 2008 and 2009. What is notable is that most of the major cities actually saw job loss. The one, Seattle basically broke even. And again, that's led largely by software services. Obviously, think of Microsoft, but there are a lot of software companies in in Seattle. That's basically what has kind of led the growth there. Again, we look at high-tech concentration. It's one thing to say, well, New York has the most jobs of any city, but that's largely because New York is such a large city. What's almost more useful to look at is, again, this percentage of the total private sector workforce that is employed by technology companies. And there again, you see Silicon Valley by far the leader there. Huntsville, Alabama, led by a lot of R&D facilities down there, and Boulder, Colorado, Durham, and Palm Bay, Melbourne, Florida, which is largely led by the space industry there. You see Washington, D.C. again, very highly ranked. Next. These are the 7 cities that did show growth in 2009. Denver and San Diego are really the major cities. Again, Oklahoma City, Huntsville. Those are smaller, mid-sized cities that show growth. And here again is the top 10, just in terms of absolute wages. As you can see, there are 5 metro areas in the country where the average tech wage is over $100,000. All of the, basically all 60 of the cities show very high wage trends. Next. And here again is the differential. So here we're looking at, tech wages versus private sector wages. And as you can see, there are 3 cities, Colorado Springs, Austin, and San Diego, where it's more than double the private sector wage. Okay, so that's our Cyber Cities report. The other report we put out last year, we put this out every year, is Cyber States. Same methodology, same type of metrics, but by state. And here, this data is a little bit older. It's from 2008, but these are the top 10 states by total employment, tech employment. This has remained relatively unchanged. The major trend over the last few years is that Virginia and Massachusetts swap places. But other than that, the top 4, California, Texas, New York, and Florida, have remained the same for a number of years. And then the last slide, before I turn it back over to Phil, this again, we look at concentration by state. And Virginia, actually, this has been for about 3 years, I think. Virginia has had the highest concentration. In other words, they have nearly 10% of the private sector workforce in Virginia is employed by tech companies that used to be held by Colorado. Virginia's gone up, Colorado's gone down, and Massachusetts. And also, you can see that the capital region, Virginia, but also Maryland and DC are all in the top 10. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Phil.
Thanks, Josh.